Welcome to Healthy and Wealthy Conversations, where we discuss everything that leads to health and wellness for your whole spirit, soul, mind, and body. Welcome to another episode of Healthy and Wealthy Conversations. I am your host, Casey Bell, and today's guest is Kitti Andrews. Kitti Andrews is a declutter coach. Kitti is on a mission to help others finally get in control of their lives without the mental and physical clutter. Kitti told us her journey on becoming an ambassador for decluttering.
Well, Casey, I've always been an orderly child. You know those pictures of the little kids just carefully stacking the building blocks. And fast forward to my first job out of high school was it was a file clerk in an office, and I got promoted to the accounting department. And a couple months later, a lady from where I used to file, she said, would you consider coming back and working for us part-time, because we can't find anything anymore. You were the best we ever had. And I always thought filing was pretty simple. A, B, A, B, B, whatever. Anyway, fast forward to a restaurant career, and I was always the waitress voted to go clean the walk-in fridge. Because it was just so peaceful and so just calming to put things into order. Because I tell you what, at the end of their shift, those cooks, they just throw everything in and they just want to go for a beer. And it was just so nice to be able to put everything back into order. And then during that, I had an 18-year real estate cleaning business, and I always felt just kind of compelled to maybe move things over, maybe an inch or so as I was dusting, right? To just to make things flow better. And clients always said, you know, I've been meaning to do that, and I'm glad that you did it, and we're going to keep it that way. I was fortunate. And that basically morphed into, I didn't want to be an elderly cleaning lady anymore, or I didn't want to turn into an elderly cleaning lady. So I learned about virtual decluttering, which is a less intrusive, more focused way to get rid of years of your accumulation, because rather than having an organizer come into your home, you don't have to clean for the cleaning lady. You just focus on one room. We'll talk more about that. And that's where I am now. Yes, I help people to declutter their space and enjoy their home. And the magic comes while we're decluttering, because we end up decluttering the other 4 pillars of their life. And that is, again, where the magic happens.
With that said, what are the other 4 pillars that you help declutter?
They're good question. I put them all under the letter H. So you have your home, your physical space, and then you have your health, your habits, your heart, meaning your relationships, and your head, hence my company name, Declutter the Brain.
Kitti shared how we can calm the chaos, conquer the overwhelm, and boost our self-confidence.
You know, they can all be addressed with my one system. And so the self-esteem comes as a result of the other 2. So when you're calming the chaos, my one system, and we'll talk about physical chaos to start, because what happens is people come to me with their physical clutter. That's their 3 a.m. problem, where maybe they can't see at 3 a.m. But the idea is that they know that they're overwhelmed, that they've got stuff everywhere. They don't know where to start. And they just say, okay, well, this must be the problem. It's the physical clutter. Let's get rid of it. Everything will be fine. And again, they don't know where to start. So my system, the one system, is designed so that it doesn't create overwhelm. Now, most of my clients are ADHDers, and they are we have very, very busy brains. I'm sure you know people like this, or fingers everywhere. We've got projects everywhere, all of this kind of stuff. What does that create? It creates clutter. And especially if they're visual types that say, oh, I have to leave it out. I have to be able to see it. Otherwise, I'm going to forget that I have it. And again, that causes clutter. And unfortunately, it's usually not limited to one room. It's usually household wide. After a few years of letting it go, and you can become clutter blind as well. You may not see it, the person may not see it, but their partner sees it, their employer sees it, all of this. So the idea is to narrow things down so that it's as simple and as simple to do as possible. So the first part of it is one room at a time. And by that I mean it's one, rather than starting in your office, say you're an entrepreneur, starting in your office, I'll do this for a bit and then I'll jump over to the spare bedroom and then I'll come back to the office. That's not a good idea, Casey, for a couple of reasons. Number one, from a purely practical point of view, you're in your office, you go to the other room. When you get back to your office, you forget where you were. And you're spending mental energy saying, okay, where was I? And getting back into character, as it were. And so that is the reason for just pick a room and stick with it. And if you have a strong why, okay, why do you want to declutter your office? Well, so you can work better and make more money because of it. Now, under the same umbrella is the next step, which is one area of that room at a time. And that, I'll start over there. I'll do a bit over there, do a bit over there. No, pick one area and start with it. And this is where it gets a little bit more focused, is the more that you can stick with one room and certainly one area at a time, the more you see momentum, you see progress. And what does that do? That fuels your self-esteem, because many people try to declutter themselves, and you would think it would be pretty simple, but it is overwhelming, and we're going to get to that in the next step. And so they don't even bother to try. Or they will say, well, I've tried it before and it all came back. So I even hired a professional organizer and all of this, and it all came back. So I'm not even going to bother. And my partner keeps saying, oh, you'll never be able to, you've always been a slob. Oh, well, that's nice, isn't it? And now we get to the third step, is one thing at a time. So we've had the one room at a time, one area of that room at a time, and now that's the one thing at a time. And is it tedious? It can be. Is it time consuming? Yeah, I'm afraid so, to do it properly. However, is it the number one way that you will get and stay decluttered for life? Yes, it is. And I have a quick story if we have time.
Yes.
Yeah, my very first client, business owner, and on coach. And she she hired me because she had a big L-shaped desk, about 6-8 inches paper all over, like you couldn't see the desk. So our very first meeting, I'm brand new, remember? And she says, hey, I said, okay, so what is this first piece of paper in front of you here on the stack that was in front of her? Because she was literally peering over the stack into the camera. And she looks at me like I'm from Venus, Casey, and she says, you're out of your tree. I am not going through all of this one by one. There's just no way. Well, I've already taken her money. And I don't know, I can't think of any other way to do it. It was the only logical thing that came to mind, so she relented. And I think she could sense my fear. And so she said, okay, well, we'll give it a whirl for a couple of minutes. And after about 5, 6 minutes, she starts flying through these papers saying, what's with the utility bills? My accountant does not need these. I can get them online. What's with the bank statements? Starts going, I don't even need these. My accountant doesn't need them. And again, we can get them online. So she starts flying through things and she starts to feel more confident and, about her abilities. And what happens is you're trained by doing it one thing at a time, then you're training your brain to search for ways that you can avoid having the clutter coming back in. And the icing on the cake was, it was about 3-4 weeks later that she told me, Kitti, I was in the store where, there were a bunch of trade magazines. Sorry, I went too fast. There were a bunch of trade magazines that that she had that she'd never written. They weren't cheap. They were at that time about $8 a pop, and we threw out 6 or 8 because they were out of date. There was no point in even keeping them. I mean, they're good for the bird cage at that point. And she reported, Kitti, I was in that store and my arm automatically reached for that magazine, for the trade magazine. And she said, well, wait a minute now, I just threw away about $50-$60 worth. I'll buy them every 2 months. And that is what, and she felt really, really good about that decision because she knew she was spending money on stuff that she didn't need, but that she should buy because it's a trade magazine. So she felt really, really tremendous about that.
Kitti shares the importance of decluttering the home and how it leads to decluttering the rest of your life.
If addressing the physical part first, if you like the concept of feng shui at all, we are certain, and even if you don't, it's pretty much agreed that, or would you agree actually, that we're surrounded by energy all the time, whether it's negative energy or positive energy. And if there is clutter, there's nowhere for it to go. And yes, I've seen some borderline hoarders' houses. I don't work with hoarders because that's a it's a DS5 classified. But even people who just generally have a lot of accumulation, they feel that it almost claustrophobic. And their house can be huge, but if it's covered with stuff, the energy has nowhere to flow. And so you start to, I usually recommend starting with decluttering the floor, and people always argue with me. They always say, oh, well, shouldn't I be doing the desk first? Well, number one, if you've got stuff all over the floor, you're going to trip and fall. Okay, we don't want that. But from a feng shui point of view, and all of the books will tell you this, that if you clear the floor, the energy has room to move. And every single person that I've coached to do the floor first, I say, after a few minutes of doing it, they'll say, hey, you know, this actually does feel pretty good. I'm feeling a little bit more energy happening. And I haven't explained to them, well, from a feng shui point of view, you need to do this, right? No, I don't go through all that. We just we just show them the benefit and the result. So if you're doing that, you're letting fresh energy. Is like opening windows, is opening fresh air into your home. Now, I've got a story about how it affects you asked about the other 4 pillars, and I've got a perfect story about a lady from Ohio, a client who she's been with me for 4 years. Why? Because we keep finding more things to declutter in her life. Ready? She's Sarah. We started with her son, her whole, okay. She and her husband are both DIYers. Neither of them ever met a craft or a hobby that they didn't like. So you can imagine, you need stuff to do your hobby or your craft, right? And so you can imagine what their home looked like. And I usually recommend as well to start with either the bedroom or the front entrance to your home, preferably the front entrance. Why? Because that is the portal to your life. Just like clearing off the floor, that is the portal that is bringing in the energy into your home. Not to mention, it's the first thing you see when you come home from being away and you look and go, oh, yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And the last thing that you see when you're leaving for the day, that stuff hangs in your subconscious, makes you feel not good, does not make you feel good, does not make you feel confident. And you hope to holy hell that the postman doesn't come and ring your doorbell to leave a package. So we spent we started in her sun porch, and we started to get into the house, because her sun porch was like you kind of walked in like this, right? And we started to get into her house, and after about 3 weeks, she's piped up out of nowhere. You know, I am going to start that fitness program that I have been promising myself for years that I'm going to do. Yeah, okay, well, that's cool. And I was still reasonably new at the time. So I did not have all of the insights that I'm telling you now. That's been part of my journey with all of this, is the excitement of seeing people's lives transform, Casey, with just by simple decluttering. Like you know, it has far-reaching effects, but I digress. And so she starts on this, and then maybe a week or two later, she says, you know, I don't want to do decluttering today. I'd like to talk about something that my husband said to me that I'm not really sure that I liked. Oh, okay, well, what was it? She told me, and it wasn't horrifying. It wasn't real bad. It was just, you know, marriage talk kind of thing. And I said, okay, well, it's not that great, but it's not horribly abusive. Is this new? Is this something new that he said? And she stopped and she thought about it. And Sarah said, you know, come to think of it, he's been saying that kind of stuff to me for the 25 years of our marriage. Well, shut my mouth. It just seemed that, and I still didn't really put it all together at the time. Now it's crystal clear that in some sort of woo alert, Casey, woo alert. Now it's very clear that when your place is cluttered, it's almost like there are blindfolds in front of you. And as the energy starts flowing, then it's like the layers of the, I know I talk with my hands a lot, but it's how I get my point across, is it's like peeling back the layers of the onion. And you can actually see what is going on. So with Sarah, we had her health was uncluttered, and by the way, she is still sticking with that exercise program, to the point that one time she lives on farmland in Ohio, and her truck broke down, so she drove the tractor into town to the gym. I'm not kidding you. I couldn't make that up. That's how dedicated this lady is. And so we decluttered her health, her and the why. There's we won't go down that road right now. We don't have time. I know we've decluttered her health, we've decluttered her heart, meaning her relationships. By the way, I've been credited with saving 3 marriages and ending 2 abusive ones, just simply because people could see and they could deal with it one way or the other. And so you've got your health, you've got your heart, habits come in with the other things. But I always ask people, what kind of routine do you have in the morning? I believe in a strong morning routine because most people get their best work done in the morning, whatever their morning is. That morning can be at midnight for all I care. It's when your brain is most alert. Wouldn't you agree, Casey? That's when you get your most done. And so you've got your health, your heart, your habits, your home, and then you've got your head. Okay. Would you like to know how the one system can be used to declutter your brain?
Yes. Yes.
All right, you're gonna love this. And I hope your listeners do too. You know, you're starting your day and you're brushing your teeth, and of course the thoughts start to come in, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Did I email that person? Oh my God, I forgot to write down. Did I write down to phone that person? And all of the thoughts just start to come jumbling in. And by the time you get to your desk, you're tired because you've used up a lot of the mental energy. And you still have to function for the day. And what I live every day is to narrow things down to how many, Casey? One thing. And all right, I can't do everything all at once. And as you know, multitasking is a myth. I can't do everything at once, so I'm going to have to figure out the one category that I'm going to work, or the one thing. There's a book by Gary Keller called The One Thing. And this is not a new concept, but it's something that people forget. And it's an easy way to save your mental energy. So your one room can be, okay, what category of task am I going to focus on right now? Because your brain it doesn't transition easily from emails to phone calls to Facebook posting to, those are all using different parts of your brain. So if you can focus on one category, there's your one room. And then one area of that room is, okay, let's niche down the category. In many times it's emails. Okay, so who are the people, there's your one area, that need me right now? Does my assistant need me to send her stuff so that she can do her job? And this isn't emails, but are my partners / kids / cat fed? People that living beings that need us. Okay, everybody is looked after. I've emailed any clients that I need to, or texted them. To me, people is a category. And then you're doing quite happily by this time, we hope. You're ticking off the boxes. You're sending what your assistant needs. You're anything like that. All of your people are looked after, and then you can go on to the next one thing. And I find that I happened upon that by accident about 1.5 years ago, because there was a lot happening in my life. My father had died, but business was going well. I was planning on moving. There was a partnership. There was a bunch of things. And I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay, breathe for one thing, and then do this one system that I just described on my brain. And I use it to this day, every day, many times a day. because as a flag waving ADHDer, I got a busy brain, honey. I need this. So does that help? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think it's what you're saying is great as far as definitely taking it one step at a time. Because I did hear that we don't do multitasking very well. So sticking with one area at a time.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
And a side benefit to that is that, and again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. This has been written so many times, but people forget that, oh yeah, I'm doing so much because I'm multitasking. But the brain, yeah, you can multitask, but you won't do it well. Isn't there something to your self-esteem about doing things right? Did I get as many things done? No, but I got the right things done and I got them done with excellence. And at the end of the day, that could make you feel pretty darn good. I guess you could say, not only do I declutter the space, but what blows my hair back about it is how you feel. How you feel when you declutter your space and brain, how you feel about yourself and what happens with that is, I'm on a soapbox here, get ready. What happens here is that newfound confidence, that newfound self-esteem transfers over into all of your relationship. It transfers into everything you do because you keep excellence fosters excellence, and because you want to keep up the standard. Also, your relationships, whether it's your partner or your family or your kids, they see a change in you, and it might take them time to get used to it, but they're saying, yeah, what's going on with her, or your boss or your coworkers. Um, and you just plain and simple, actually, the better you feel, the more you get done. And I had a bit of a low spot over the weekend. I'll be transparent. I was tired and I wasn't feeling great. And I just kept saying, oh, push yourself, push yourself. And yeah. I think 45-minute nap and I felt amazing. Probably because the nap had kind of decluttered my brain a little bit. But the idea is the better the clearer you're thinking, the better you will feel about yourself and the more you get done.
I asked Kitti to tell us about her 8-week group coaching, which has been recently paused, as well as her one-on-one coaching she has available.
Well, actually, that's a good question because clearly you've looked at my website, and the 8-week group coaching, I put that on, I just recently put it on hold. And the reason for that is because everybody, the 8-week group coaching that was, everyone got private and one-on-one time. So it was not only weekly group calls, but weekly one-on-one, and it was a lot of work. So, and a lot of people to keep track of. However, my clients tell me things that they wouldn't say to anybody else. And so we would have our group meeting. Nobody would say anything. So for now, I'm holding it at just strictly one-on-one coaching with unlimited access to me through the week using a Boxer app, so that they can have the benefit of support and rah and yay you with photo accountability and some private time with me. But they have the satisfaction of being able to say, yes, I did it. Every time they submit their homework on via Boxer, they say, wow, look at me. I can't believe it. I can't believe that I'm doing this. So I think I'm in, and we do have one group call for 1 hour per month. And that's I say, do you want more? And they say, well, no, we're all good, but it's you that we want, which is quite a compliment. Everything, it's a work in progress.
If you are interested in considering Kitti Andrews as your coach to help you declutter, you can book a call. Kitti shares what to expect from the call.
That's an excellent question. Thank you, Casey. It's a 30-minute call, and what we do is I ask you, why do you want to? What is your big why behind decluttering now? Because it is usually built up, and people will have a tipping point where they say, I just can't take it anymore, or my partner or my boss is ragging on me too much. I want to change my life, or they're in the middle of, they're about to move, or they're in a divorce, so their life is in total upheaval as it is. So we examine their why and their why not. Why haven't I done anything about this until now? And I sense during the call if they will be coachable, open to coaching. And sometimes they will bring pictures, they'll send me pictures of their accumulation. So I have an idea of the severity of it, because sometimes people think that they're cluttered and they aren't. And I don't work with everybody who comes, but I work with the people that I feel will benefit the most. And we just kind of attract each other like magnets, and the rest I'll give them my PDF and wish them well, and maybe we'll talk another time when they're really ready, because you have to be, I think you'd agree with me on this, Casey, is you have to be ready for the change. Nobody can make you do it.
That is all the time we have for you today on this episode of Healthy and Wellthy Conversations. I'd like to thank our guest, Kitti Andrews, for sharing her journey and her time with us. And you, of course, the audience, as always, thank you so much for watching.